general. And I felt that there were just some things I agree and something I don't agree, yeah. And I have a couple of thoughts on it. Of course, I plan to do my own video on my Tokusatsu YouTube channel on a slightly later date because I'm still researching a couple of factors here. Ever let me know what are your thoughts on this video. Oh, and before that, I think I'm gonna just give this guy a subscribe because I think he earned it. That's a really, really good video here. Okay, so without further ado, let's see what he has to say.
When you think of the worst entertainment companies of all time, a few names probably spring to mind. Disney, Activision Blizzard King, Warner Brothers, Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, Microsoft, but there is one company I feel isn't talked about enough.
Hoyoverse! Also, I think Hoyoverse can be really bad sometimes, especially when it comes to Genshin side now. I think it's just a lot of things that get skipped over when it comes to those kind of entertainment companies here. And I feel that the Hoyoverse might actually be more popular than Bandai. Okay, but anyways, let's see what they have to say here.
Bandai, Bandai Namco, Bandai Spirits, just all of Bandai in general. I think that they are easily one of the worst companies of all time. The company is riddled with problems, but the main reason I hate them is quite simple. Bandai doesn't know how to sell things.
Okay, so the first thing first is, I always feel that Bandai is a very, split company. Like, yes, you're saying Bandai Spirits, Bandai Namco. I feel like, at least from what I know when I like deal with Bandai all the time, yes, all three segments of Bandai operate separately. And they're very weird ways of operating, I don't deny that, yeah. But to me, I feel that these are all like very Japanese company problems here. When I interact with them, okay, not about the toy releases and all, yeah, but in general, I interact with them for other works and all. They can be a bit weird, but mostly it's Japanese company things, yeah, which is just Japanese company things. I don't think it's like, you know, entirely a bad thing. It's just a cultural difference, I feel, yeah.
Bandai can't just sell you a product. There is always some catch or issue that does not need to be there. It doesn't matter how good the product itself is, you're going to be subjected to a bad decision somewhere along the line. Bandai loves to overcomplicate everything, and when something goes wrong because of their own bullshit, they refuse to fix the problem and instead give up, abandoning
Okay, you know, when they overcomplicate things and they actually, like, you know, mess things up and all, I think he got the part pretty right, but I don't think that they are that irresponsible here, because at the same time, I feel that they also try to fix a lot of problems. Of course, he bring up some things that, you know, he feels that isn't the case here, but I personally feel that, you know, when it comes to this sort of things, there's something that I think he did. Bandai does handle pretty well. Alright, but at the same time, you know, like, you basically Bandai, you know, hey, this is usually a good product here. Alright, but when they mess up, yeah, I have to agree that they don't usually fix it well. Definitely, I think they do put out good products most of the time. At least my personal thoughts here.
projects regardless of how active the user base is. They love artificial scarcity and are obsessed with making everything they release a limited time item. When those...
Okay, so this artificial scarcity thing is something that hit me really hard. That yes, I know they're creating artificial scarcity here, but like I mentioned on my stream earlier, I think it's a lot to do with, you know, as a Japanese company, they have like some Japanese cultures that I seem to accept a bit better. Maybe because I'm closer to Japan in Singapore, yeah? Alright, like things that when it comes to recycling, things that when they're coming, reducing, like, you know, wastage, yeah? I think the, you know, some mindful, you know, consumer approaches, yeah? But of course, at the same time, I also find it a bit weird, like sometimes, okay, like, have you ever noticed when you buy anything from Japan, be it snacks, be it, you know, souvenirs, be it toys, you know. Japan has a very, I wouldn't say bad habit. And this habit of spamming a lot of packaging, yeah. Alright, so much so if they did a China levels kind of shipping, most of the time your Japan products, the box can be destroyed, yeah. Hit packs, yeah. But comes in a really good state, yeah. And are you not here for the hit packs, yeah? Okay, so as the video echoing, yeah, the video is probably echoing because I'm not putting my headsets on. In case you're like wondering, yeah, I'm not having my headsets on, yeah. And yes, okay, I'm just doing a reaction to this video, so I might not be paying attention to chat as much unless it's video related, yeah. Okay, let me just put on my headset so that way I think you'll have all the echoing stop. Alright, let's get back to it, yeah.
Limited, hard to get items don't sell the massive amounts they want. They blame the franchise or the quality of the item, and then refuse to sell more. Bandai makes terrible, self-destructive decisions when producing, releasing, selling, and managing their products. They don't know how to sell things.
Okay, I feel that the problem here is actually not they don't know how to sell things here. I think the bigger issue here is they do not want to sell overseas. Or whoever is in that particular marketing department, they don't want to sell things overseas here. This applies to, I think, it's just a Japan idea where they're like, okay, we want everything to be sold within Japan, we want everything to be sold within our region. But at the same time, okay, they may complain that, hey, Japan is not selling things to us here. And my complaint would be, okay, hey, finding Power Rangers shit in Singapore is tough here. Like seriously, finding like Power Rangers shit or American shit in Singapore can be really tough. If there isn't like, you know, a local supplier here and they're not distributing things to Singapore properly here. Okay, like seriously, I think this is an issue of your country's distributors versus like, you know, Bandai being Bandai as an issue here. So I feel like there's a lot of things conflated between like, you know, Bandai Japan and Bandai US. Like they need to, this video, one thing I think would be good is if they can say Bandai US has a huge problem here. Be it the Bandai distributor for toys or be it the Bandai distributor for the games here. Whereas for me, I think it's more of a distributor problem. Okay, yeah. And to be fair, a lot of things they bring up, like they don't know how to sell things here. I'll say in Singapore they don't know how to sell Power Rangers here. It's not Bandai, it's Hasbro. They don't know how to sell Power Rangers in Singapore here. They don't know how to sell like a lot of toys in Singapore besides Baby Shark and what was it? Coco Melon here? Okay, but that's my personal take on things here.
People have been largely ignorant of Bandai's bullshit, but recently folks have taken notice. With the popularity of the One Piece card game, the flood of awful anime games, and the post-launch edition of microtransactions into Tekken 8, people are finally realizing just how terrible of a company Bandai is. I figured now is the best time to get all of my frustrations off my chest and add my feelings and experiences to the discussion. I mean, who better to tell you why Bandai is terrible than an exhausted Digimon fan?
Okay, so this is where I will come in and actually say that things like the card distribution now, I feel that sometimes it's not a Bandai issue, but it's very often like your local distributor issue now. Okay, like it's a local distributor issue, it's a localizer issue, and I don't think a fault falls on Bandai directly now, because Bandai, they just make the products. They don't have these problems like existing in Japan really often, yeah. Like, there's a lot of reissues, like, let's be honest, when it comes to P Bandai, if it's a popular item, yeah, they do a lot of reissues on P Bandai, yeah. Like, reissue after reissue after reissue after reissue, yeah, to the point where I do not have that, like, you know, lack or the scarcity for a lot of P Bandai products that we used to have, yeah. So I feel that in the aspect, Bandai actually improved a lot. Okay, and I think that what they are facing is probably a very, overseas problem. Okay, yeah. Luckily in Singapore, we have a lot of people bringing things in from Japan itself, yeah, so we are not facing that problem. Okay, but yes, I think when he brings up Digimon, there's actually a lot more pain when it comes to Digimon, because I think Digimon as a franchise is a very, it's a very bad thing. Okay, in terms of how they market, in terms of the products, yeah, I think it's a terrible, terrible thing, yeah. So let's see what he says first, yeah.
Bandai doesn't actually own a lot of the properties that they make stuff for. When it comes to big name anime like Dragon Ball or One Piece, Bandai only owns the merchandising rights. This means that they often don't have creative influence over the property. They just handle merch, video games, and so on. However, there are franchises that Bandai makes themselves, intellectual properties that they've got complete creative control over. Digimon is one of them. Toei handles all the anime, but for the most part, the franchise is managed by Bandai. And boy howdy do they manage it. Digimon is one of the most mismanaged franchises I've ever adored. The series is constantly fucked with in the most infuriating ways, yet continues to thrive despite Bandai. I have a
Okay, so I completely agree with him that Digimon is one of the worst managed franchise. Okay, yeah, this one, I cannot defend Bandai, or I cannot defend like whoever's handling Digimon marketing here. Because I think for this one, they're actually doing a really bad job. Like, hands down, I do not know how else to describe it, but it's just a completely ass of a job when they're handling, like, you know, all this stuff. And I think it's just a, you know, a Digimon problem. Okay, and at the same time, I feel that it's also an issue where probably it's just not very well handled over in the US as well. Yeah, I think Japan has Digimon a lot better. Okay, I think US and their localization is another huge issue, which I feel that, you know, there should be more thoughts put in it, in the sense that, hey, we need, this is a US localizer issue. Okay, and I feel that in Singapore, yes, we do have such localized issues as well, yeah, localizer issues, but I don't think it's as bad as what he brings up some of the things to be near. Because once again, like I said, we are in Singapore, we're probably closer to Japan, so we got some things a lot better than what they have in the US, yeah? And I'm not saying that, hey, this is saying that Bandai is perfect in Singapore and Asia, yeah, I don't think that's the case, yeah? However, at the same time, when we're looking at Bandai, I realize that Bandai China and Bandai US handles things really differently, yeah? And that itself does show, like, you know, hey, Bandai doesn't always handle things badly. It could be like a Japanese company thing, yeah? Versus, like, you know, versus, hey, Bandai is just a bad company. At least this is my honest take on things, yeah? Okay, so, but Digimon, like I said, it really depends. Like, honestly, I feel like Bandai doesn't know how to sell outside of Japan. Maybe that's the correct way of putting it, yeah? Not what they are phrasing it to be at the moment, yeah?
personal anecdote that I think highlights this mismanagement perfectly and backs up everything I said at the beginning of this video. A story that shows almost all of Bandai's problems in one fell swoop. A story so infuriating that I've been dying to find an excuse to talk about it for years now. I have seen my chance, and I am striking while the iron is hot and petty. So sit on back and get ready for story time with Crimbo. It's a long one. The Digital Monster X for 2 is a Digivice that was released in 2019. This virtual pet was cool for a number of reasons, but the main one for me was the release of a new evolution for one of my favorite Digimon, Impmon. He now had a brand new X antibody form, and I absolutely loved it. I had to get my hands on this Digivice. There was just one huge problem. I had missed the Premium Bandai pre-order window. Now, if you don't know what Premium Bandai or P Bandai is, get ready to get mad, because P Bandai is bad.
Okay, so when it comes to P Bandai is bad, I have to agree to a certain extent, yeah. Because P Bandai was never created for us. P Bandai was never created for anybody outside of Japan, yeah. If you're talking about P Bandai, I can tell you straight out, the international P Bandai sucks so badly, yeah. It sucks so bad to the point that I feel that I'd rather it not exist, yeah. I'd rather have third party people, sell us P Bandai things from third party sources, yeah, because at least in that sense I think it's a bit more better managed, okay? But yeah. Oh, to be honest, that's the thing. Okay, so let me see. There's train Digimon's fans random bars already. Okay, it's Bandai, a terrible company nobody talks about, yeah. I feel it. I think it's a very Digimon problem. I think it's a localizer problem here. I don't think it's a Bandai only issue niya. And it's funny that the JDM market is main priority, but then the regional local Bandai is organizing hard niya. Yeah, the thing is, I think there's a lot of other issues with this than just than just Bandai itself. Like, I think the biggest issue with this whole thing is, number one, okay, I think there's a lack of shows being released. Yeah, is there a lot of localized Digimon shows in US right now? Yeah, I don't recall. Is it a lot of localized Digimon shows in Singapore right now? I don't recall. Yeah, same thing before. Is there like any localized, like, what's the thing called? Yeah, Kamen Rider shows in Singapore? No, we don't have enough Kamen Rider shows in Singapore. Yeah. Yes, in the US they say, hey, we are going to bring in the Kamen Rider shows. We are going to bring Kamen Rider Geeks. Okay, yeah. I'm going to bring in them in the DVDs. 1 year, 2 years after the show is done, and you bring it in. It's too late. I'm sorry, it's way too late. Yeah, because what people want is, I want a weekly show to watch, and I buy the toys. But you need to understand that a lot of these shows work as a toy commercial, yeah, and you work hand in hand with the toys, yeah. So if you don't have the show, the toys don't sell. I don't know if that makes sense, yeah. Alright, but if you don't have the toys, the shows don't earn money, yeah. So to them, selling DVDs of the shows, yeah, selling the movies of the shows, yeah, is secondary, because ultimately they are selling you an advertisement, yeah. Okay, and this is something that we all need to like be very firm at. How are they selling things? How are they like approaching? What's their marketing concept with it? Yeah? It's the reason why I personally feel Power Rangers is dying so badly. Yeah? Because we used to watch like shows 9 a.m. on TV. Okay, like on national TV 9 a.m. every week, one episode. All the kids will be hyped. We'll go to the Toys R Us. We'll go to OG, you go to Isetan, and you go like, hey, I mean departmental stores, for those who don't know, okay, yeah? And you go like, hey, I want to buy the new Power Rangers toy because this episode featured this, new mecha, yeah. Oh, there's a new Ranger, there's a new 6 Ranger, yeah. I want to buy this, that, over there, yeah. Alright, and just having these weekly releases make us want the toys, make us demand for the toys, yeah? Okay, and this is something that I personally feel that is just lacking in the aspect when it comes to anything overseas. Yeah, Japan is keeping this very strong culture. We want to have everything very localized. We want not localized. We want everything within our control and have a good schedule. Yeah, that is why Kamen Rider, even Gundam, although they put on YouTube, let's talk about that later. Yeah, but Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Ultraman, okay, yeah, everything. These 3 series are always 9 a.m. Japan time. Prequel, 8:30 a.m. Japan time, yeah. Alright? That's why they want kids to wake up in the morning, they want kids to enjoy the show, and in the afternoon, they go play with their friends and talk about the new Riders shows, yeah. And on top of that, Monday, they can go like, hey, do you watch the latest episode of Kamen Rider? Do you watch the latest episode of whatever? And that is their topic. Like, they're creating this culture, they're creating this childhood for the kids in the show, yeah. Like, not in the show, through the shows, okay, they're creating this childhood for the kids, yeah. In Japan, in the past, I feel that they have done it successfully because of TV shows in the morning, yeah. They've done it successfully because of, like, how they did. Like, in the past, we don't have the internet, yeah. So, Japan may have, like, Kamen Rider Ryuki. We are watching Kuga. Because Kuga is on TV, yeah. You get what I mean? Like, whatever's on TV, we watch. And that is what's gonna sell for us. Yes, yeah. In this sense, there's something just very different with how it works, okay? Okay, so in Japan, for adults outside Japan, the thing is, we adults, we actually hunt down the shows, okay? We don't actually get to watch the shows on, like, TV, yeah. Like, to be honest, you ask any kids down the streets, hey, do you know what's Kamen Rider? They'll be like, what's Kamen Rider? The worst thing. Do you know what's Power Rangers? Then they'll be like, what is Power Rangers? Japanese Avengers? And yeah, like, seriously, that is how I feel. That's exactly how it plays out, yeah. Okay, and yeah, all those things are not on YouTube Kids and all. And Rip, thank you so much for following, yeah. Yesterday, I'm just reacting to the video right now. Anyways, yeah, so Personally, I think it's a complete mess. Okay, YouTube Kids. I feel like in Japan, they do it a lot better. Like, we are talking about Gundam Info. The reason why I do it is because they know weekly releases, weekly free releases, sells the toys. Yeah. That's also one of the reasons why when you go to Bandai, P Bandai, not Japan, okay, P Bandai Asia or US, yeah, are just flooding with Gundam stuff, yeah, because Gundam knows we are selling to overseas market, yeah. We are going to set things up properly, yeah. Okay, and this is the reason why we have set things a certain way. This is how we're going to sell the toys. Okay, anyways, back to the video and see what this guy has to say, yeah.
Bandai is a website that sells exclusive Bandai merchandise that you cannot purchase anywhere else. This isn't a bad concept on its own, but what makes it horrific is the details of how this website works. First, every single item that appears in the store is a limited time item. This means that there is a specific window of time where you can attempt to pre-order the item you want. If you miss this timed window, you are completely out of luck and can no longer purchase the product. Also, you heard me right, you're pre-ordering, not purchasing. The product doesn't get shipped to you right away. When I ordered this white Vital bracelet back in November of 2021, it didn't ship until January of 2022, so you're not going to get the item in any timely fashion. On top of that, the pre-orders can sell out, and for more popular items, this can happen in 5 minutes. If you
Okay, so now we'll talk about the pre-orders and all, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, okay, I'm not sure about Bandai, you know, US, yeah, okay, but when it comes to like Bandai Japan, okay, yeah, a lot of pre-orders get sold. Like, we are talking about like the Demon's Driver, yeah. We are talking about the Godzilla figures and all, yeah. They end up re-releasing these things multiple times. Even like for Kamen Rider, a lot of the belts, they just reissue, yeah. And even right now, as I'm talking, I believe they have just reissued the Kamen Rider X8 Solo figures, yeah. I've reissued the Gogo 5, you know, mecha, okay, along with the new release as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of reissue. Like, I feel that one thing Japan is avoiding is having clearance stock on the shelves. Yeah. Because in the past, it used to be a case like, you know, when I talk to friends who travel to Japan a lot. Sadly, I have not been to Japan before. Yeah. Somebody sponsored me a trip there. Anyways, okay. So I speak to a lot of friends who have been to Bandai consistently to buy like Kamen Rider toys, Ultraman toys and all, yeah. And their feedback to me mostly is, you know, hey, every time I go down there, okay, in the past, okay, not now, yeah. In the past, you're like, oh, we're coming to the end of the season. The secondary riders' weapons are being sold at like $3, $4 on departmental stores. They are stacked mountains of the secondary rider toys, yeah. They stacked mountains of a lot of, like, you know, extra toys, yeah. Okay, if you get what I mean. I just stacked full, okay, at the departmental stores, yeah. And if they don't sell it, the thing is, Japan doesn't believe in throwing things away. In fact, you can get fined for like throwing your plastics away, yeah. Which is the same reason why if you buy cards from Japan, like, you know, trading cards, yeah, they will sell you the trading card and you pack it with other common cards, yeah, because the card shops are not allowed to throw away the common cards, yeah, because it's bad for the environment. So they have to send out as, like, you know, they use it as packing foam or packing cards in the sense, yeah. Oh, Japan has this idea of we want to cut down on losses or like, you know, wastage, not so much on losses, but you want to cut on wastage, yeah. So they actually do not like overproduce plastics, yeah. So they might have, like, you know, okay, factory, how many toys can you produce in this period? They say, okay, you can produce like 2,000 toys. Then your answer will be like, okay, you can produce 2,000. Let's set a limit on the pre-order at 2,000. And then based on the limit, we just place orders, yeah. Okay, so if it's less than 2,000, maybe 1,500, then you just order only 1,500. And guess what? None of this 1,500 will land up in the landfill. Yeah. None of this 1,500 will be, you know, wasted, scrapped, and gone. Okay, yeah? However, you know, on the customer's point of view, yeah, especially overseas, I feel that, you know, we end up seeing things in a very different way, yeah. So anyway, let's get back to the video and see what he says, yeah.
Miss out on getting an item from P Bandai, it is fucking gone. The only chance you have of getting it is from scalpers and resellers at a jacked up price. This happens in the Gunpla community constantly, and I cannot tell you how many times I've said, "Wow, cool robot," only to have my dreams crushed when I realize it's a P Bandai exclusive. Now, I missed getting the Digivice I wanted, but there was still one
I actually
hope:
understand. Oh no, it's P Bandai,
Bandai
and I
has
couldn't
been
get it.
historically bad about releasing Digivices. Despite being the toy that birthed the entire franchise, it was ridiculously hard to get your hands on one without paying an arm and a leg. But then, the Ver 20th was released. It was an improved version of the original Digivice, with added features and multiple shell colors. But most importantly, it was available everywhere for just $20. A year later, Bandai localized the first Digital Monster X Digivice, and it sold well too. So naturally, the Ver 2 was to be localized next. 2021 arrived, and Amazon pre-orders began. I got in as early as possible, absolutely thrilled to finally get my Impmon after 2 years of waiting. A few months later in March, my Digivice was shipped, and I finally got my boy. Or so I thought. You see, there are two versions of the Digital Monster X Ver 2, a red one and a purple one. The difference between them is similar to how Pokemon games are handled. One color has a different roster from the other. Turns out, Bandai failed to notice a massive production error, where they accidentally swapped the rosters between the red and purple devices. This means that folks with red Digivices were getting Impmon, while purple folks were getting Agumon. I was one of the hundreds of folks who got a faulty Digivice, and instead of having the Impmon I've been waiting 2 years for, I had an Agumon. Bandai later issued a statement saying that the error was the result of a programming glitch, and that they would work with Amazon to make sure returns would be handled appropriately. I could have kept mine as a collector's item, but at the time, I just really wanted my Impmon, and I would have rather spent my very limited money on what I actually wanted. So long story short, I returned the Digivice. I got my refund, and I waited for Bandai to fix the mistake. Problem is, they never fixed it. I never got my Digivice, and I never will, because instead,
Alright, yes, this is, I think it's a very isolated incident, yeah, but okay, just hear what he says from him.
Bandai took the laziest, shittiest solution possible. So get this, instead of making new boards and fixing the glitch, Bandai decided to resell the faulty devices with recolored plastic and new packaging. They got rid of the transparent shells and swapped them with new opaque metallic ones. They put Agumon X into a metallic navy case and Impmon X into a metallic silver case. Then,
Okay, so remember why I said that Japan wants to reduce on wastage, yeah? They don't want things to go to landfills, yeah? Why would I throw away 1,000 pieces of really good, cheap boards, okay, yeah? When I can repurpose them? You see, that's how Bandai handle things, yeah? If I can, you know, not waste items, why not I don't waste them, yeah? So I recolor them, I resell them, and we reduce on wastage. We reduce on, you know, sending things to landfill, yeah. So he himself also mentioned Bandai took the lazy way out and not made new boards. But if you think of it another way, yeah, Bandai did not make new boards because they did not want to add to the, you know, carbon footprint. They did not want to add to the global wastage. They did not want to send things to the, you know, to whatever landfill that is. Do you see where I'm coming from, yeah? Do you see where I'm coming from? Like, based on how I explain how P Bandai works, like, they do not even want to, like, waste things, yeah? Alright, and, you know, his response to this is, hey, we do not want, all these things to happen, right? That's the exact reason why I'm like, hey, we don't want the things to, like, you know, be wasted. And this is exactly what Bandai did, yeah. They just repurpose the thing rather than just, you know, throwing it in the dustbin. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay, let's go on.
Then they changed the cardboard packaging, swapping gold for silver and silver for gold. The device says silver or gold depending on which version you got, but because of the glitch, it'll say silver, which is correct, but it has the gold roster. It's really confusing. Rather than fixing the boards, they found it easier to just switch the packaging of the already faulty devices. This was done to save money, of course. Changing the color of plastic and cardboard is far cheaper than changing a program. Why fix a defective product when you can repackage it and save a few cents on production? After this massive fuck up and insulting fix, Bandai went completely silent. Many people were incredibly confused about what toy came with what content, and they were asking where the transparent purple and red Digivices went. As a result of all of this, I have to assume that the English Ver 2 did not meet sales expectations, because eventually Bandai deleted their Digimon X product page, all but confirming that they're not localizing the Ver 3. Bandai still to this day hasn't said a word. As of right now, no more American Digivices are in production. We're not getting any more similar localizations, and the current device, the Vital Bracelet, has been completely abandoned. The only way to get the Digivice that I want is to import it from Korea. I understand that mistakes happen, everyone messes up. What's important is how we react to those mistakes, and the actions we take to fix them. Even corporations know this. When the Red Ring of Death was a rampant problem for the Xbox 360, Microsoft willingly sank $1.15 billion into the repair effort. They did this because they knew that if they didn't make things right, it would permanently harm their brand and their reputation. Bandai, on the other hand, is willing to repackage a defective product and sell it right back to the people that returned it in the first place. Then, when that doesn't work for some mysterious reason, they shut down the entire project. Bandai does not know how to sell things. They are...
Okay, so like I said, honestly, first thing first is I feel that he has a point where, hey, Bandai don't know how to sell things. And I feel like bringing in, you know, Microsoft fixing the Xbox thing is actually a very bad example, yeah? Because Xbox is, you know, yes, number one, I think Xbox is a multi-billion-dollar company, Microsoft is a multi-billion-dollar company, yeah? And people go in, okay, and they fix the problem for you, yeah? Alright, but in this case, you know, we have a working product, okay? It's like saying, hey, I ordered iPhone pink, it came in iPhone blue. And then my question is, okay, but iPhone is working right now. Why do I want to throw away a completely well-working phone just because the aesthetics is wrong now? Even I wouldn't want to throw it away now. Even I wouldn't want to throw it away. Okay, so maybe this is just me now, but if something comes in, okay, and it's just 1% broken, I don't want to throw it away. Why should I? Okay, yeah, like there's no reason to waste the materials, yeah? And don't forget, he did mention like 2022, he did mention like around 2020's timing. What do we have during that point of time? Okay, yeah? Microchip shortage, yeah? Alright, so why are we wasting silicon when we have a lack of silicon? I mean, in all honesty, I think that's a very fair way to think about it. Like, why are we wasting materials here? Why are we wasting very expensive materials here? Right? And that's something that, like I say, like, just before I let him continue with all these parts here, I've also brought up that, hey, do you remember that, at the very least, there is a lot of, like, things that Bandai does where it's like, hey, we want to, like, recycle things here, we want to get things fixed here. Okay, and like I said, Microsoft is fixing the product, they're not replacing the product, they're not like throwing half the things into the disposal and all. But to be honest here, a lot of other American companies or more westernized companies, they would rather throw things in the bin than to fix it here. Example, the iPhone, okay, you know, iPhone, they are always like, even Samsung phones, they try to like have this thing called planned obsolescence. That means your product with each updates gets slower and slower and slower and slower here. They try to spoil your product digitally through firmwares here. Instead of supporting you through firmwares properly here. Is it okay, once you're done, just throw it in the bin here? Like recently Spotify had this thing where they're like saying have things Spotify Play or Spotify Go, where you can put in your car to enjoy music here. And then they are suddenly saying, oh, we are abandoning this whole device. Everybody, please just throw it away. You just throw away a perfectly working digital device. Okay? And then you start complaining, why is our world dying? Okay? You have all the, you know, world people going like, oh, there's so much pollution. We need to cut down wastage. We need to cut down pollution. We need to throw away digivices and remake them, yeah. You see what I mean? Okay. Alright, so anyways, let's carry on.
They're constantly shooting themselves in the foot and then wondering why it hurts. This company can only see 3 inches in front of their face, doing anything that will get them immediate profits, regardless of how it affects their reputation.
I don't see 3 inches in front of your face, yeah. They only see everything within the land of Japan and not outside of Japan.
Despite the whole incident, I still love Digimon. But if Bandai continued to localize Digivices, I sure as shit wouldn't trust them to do it right.
Please! What? I didn't understand what you just said.
Alright, don't try to sell Digivices because the America is not their target audience to begin with, yeah. They're not even localizing anything Digimon outside of Japan properly. Yeah. Not even in Hong Kong, if I'm not wrong.
Please!
Please?
It seems like manufacturing products, you know, the whole thing their entire company exists to do, is too difficult for Bandai. I say this because their #1 favorite practice is artificial scarcity. We already talked about Bandai and the insanely restricted practices that they use on that website. But did you know that Bandai loves to try and pull this shit in retail stores? If you're a fan of the One Piece card game, you know that right now it is almost impossible to get your hands on even a single booster. The game is not available anywhere, and fans are absolutely livid. Bandai is not manufacturing enough cards to meet the massive demand, and they're doing it on purpose. The company is actively producing cards in Japan, but in America, they haven't done squat. They have the production means available. They have the power.
Alright, so you see what they're saying here? Okay, so
Bandai is
there's
not manufacturing enough cards to meet the
here.
massive demand, and they're doing it on purpose. The company is
For everyone defending Bandai, in Japan they still print One Piece 1 and One Piece 2 here. SME don't care about the Western market, and to make things worse, the only thing that could have helped the West in this situation is a reprint set here. And since there is no demand for a reprint set in Japan, since they have enough 1 and 2, there won't be a reprint set in the foreseeable future here. Okay, so like I said, Japan only looks at Japan. They don't care about overseas here. And one possible thing is also like a distributor in, I might be wrong on this, okay, yeah, I probably want to hear if someone knows, okay, but it could be a case of, you know, the distributor in US just thinks, I'm not confident we can sell another reprint batch here. Can we sell another 5,000, you know, containers worth of One Piece cards? Can we actually sell that? You know, like, they have to put in an amount, like the US side, they have to put in an amount and then place the order and then things come in. So they're like, should we take the risk? I don't know. Okay? And then it's Japan is our world. US is, if we sell, we sell. I mean, another common way of looking at it is, look at how Godzilla -1 was handled here. Okay, we're gonna put this movie out in Japan in the best way possible here. Alright, subsequently, you know, overseas, okay, we only have special screenings everywhere. They won the Oscar award. Alright, and then suddenly, you know, they realize, wait, there's a demand for Godzilla overseas? Why is our show being the #1 pirated show of current times here? And now there's like this very huge thing where they're like, we don't see anything outside of Japan. We only see Japan, Japan, Japan. Outside, okay, I'll just toss it a bit here. Like, I don't think it's something to do with like, you know, I don't think it's a case of, hey, we want to like, not reprint this, we want to create scarcity. No. I think what they're doing here is not creating scarcity, but they don't care about the US here. Or they don't care about, you know, anything that's not Japan to begin with here. At the same time, there's also the case where, like, you know, I say, if I want to buy Power Rangers toys right now here, there is no way for me to buy a lot of Power Rangers toys in Singapore here. Yes, I can go to specialized shops to buy my Lightning collection figures here, but honestly, finding those are a pain. You can't walk into a departmental store and say, hey, I can buy my Power Rangers today. No, they won't be at departmental stores here. Even the things we get for like a lot of like Western toys, they're just not well stocked up locally as well here. Okay, and we let him continue.
is actively producing cards in Japan, but in America, they haven't done squat. They have the production means available. They have the power to print more cards, but they are choosing not to. Why? The reason is simple: to artificially raise demand for their product. Bandai likes how hard it is for you to get their products here in America, because it makes them more desirable. If you don't...
I don't think it's more desirable, it's just called we don't care. Does that make sense? It sounds more like a we don't care versus, you know, it's desirable. Yes, yeah.
Buy that item right now, you may never see it again. Resellers will scoop it up for sure, and if you don't act fast enough, you'll never have another chance to own it. Even if the item is something that you don't really want that much, you may still feel forced to buy it because of that lack of availability. Bandai wants you to feel that pressure in the back of your mind, that fear of missing out. That is the behavior that they prey on the most in the West.
They did not prey on them in the sense, yeah, but like I said, I think the biggest thing they want to do in the US, or rather globally, yeah, is we do not want to throw things into the bin.
That is why Bandai is so successful. Card games in the West suffer from availability issues enough as it is, with scalping and reselling being a massive problem. Other companies, even Disney and the Pokemon Company, understand that this hurts their product in the long run. They make an effort to fix the supply issues and communicate with their audiences to make things right. Bandai, however, doesn't give a single shit. They, once again, have been completely silent on the issue, and they have the utter lack of foresight to see that this is the sort of problem that kills card games. If players can't play the game, they're not going to. Sales may look good when products sell out in 5 minutes. You might get a lot of immediate profit from scalpers, but in the long run, you'll be killing any interest folks may have. Bandai doesn't only do this with card games. They do it with absolutely everything. If there is a way to limit a release and create any kind of FOMO, they will do it in a heartbeat.
Alright, so like I said, I feel that it's not about creating FOMO, but imagine if you keep on selling things like I mentioned, you do not want to overstock, you do not want to like flood the market, because in the end, most of it's going to land in landfill. Ever in Japan, the way you handle things, I said, it's very different. Like, I take the P Bandai concept and move it to Japan. They're actually doing the same thing in Japan, but it doesn't feel as bad, because there's a lot more re-releases in Japan, But overseas, who cares about overseas? Japan #1, Nippon Banzai. Yes.
I don't have any overarching point with this part. I just want to vent my laundry list of frustrations, because there are so many more examples of Bandai being stupid and annoying. Come with me, and we'll see why I hate this motherfucking company. Klonoa Phantasy Reverie is a remake of the first 2 Klonoa games. The series has a pretty big cult following, and the remake was highly anticipated for many reasons. One of which was the accessibility of these games, as getting the originals can be quite expensive. However, for some reason, physicals were only released in Japan and Europe. The Americas never got it. So if you want a physical copy, you have no choice but to import it. Also, the special bundle DLC pack is a complete scam and a waste of money. Digimon
Alright, so do you agree with me on this part where I think it's a US localizer problem, It's nothing to do with Bandai himself, At the end of the day, it's, do the localizers want to bring it in? Do the localizers work properly, So I think it might be a localizer company problem versus like, Bandai Japan problem, Okay, so yeah.
Survive is a visual novel that was review bombed for being visual novel. The developers were always very clear about what the game was. A story-focused experience with some RPG elements. Digimon fans who followed its long-delayed development knew exactly what they were getting into, but the average consumer was shown trailers and marketing that focused on the RPG stuff. Bandai didn't make it clear enough to the average Joe what the game actually was. So when people bought it, expecting a grid-based RPG, they were quite upset to have gotten a visual novel instead. It was a really stupid problem that could have been solved by much clearer marketing. The game was also released around the same time as 2 other highly anticipated JRPGs, and Bandai decided to limit how many physical copies were produced. Miraculously, despite all of this, the game managed to sell pretty well. Gundam Evolution was a free-to-play hero shooter that was shut down.
Hey, so for the Digimon game, honestly, I think it's just a consumer problem. I don't think Bandai did anything wrong. Like, let's be honest, if you're gonna make marketing for a game, you just want to show the more flashy parts than just the whole game itself, I mean, like, he also already said they have made very clear as a visual novel game, so honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just like, people have short attention span, or rather, like, you watch a video, okay, and not all the time the video is what it is. It can be a bit more clickbaity, We have built a theme park and then you realize it's a Lego theme park. You get what I mean? It's just that sort of things, I don't think there's anything wrong in its entirety.
Down after only a year of existing. Despite being a highly praised alternative to Overwatch, the game was killed because of its terrible monetization. Bandai pushed microtransactions instead of fixing bugs, balance issues, and network problems. When folks weren't buying into their absolutely worthless live service, Bandai pulled the plug and completely abandoned the project. They later went on to port Gundam Battle Operation 2 to PC and made many of the exact same mistakes, proving that they've learned absolutely nothing. Currently, the game is basically unplayable, with matchmaking sometimes taking an hour just for one laggy, buggy match. Also, if you disconnect at any time, usually due to server-side failures, you can be banned from playing. Speaking of Gundam, Bandai has collaborated with Call of Duty to put mobile suits in Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. The anti-war giant robots are now featured in a series that directly supports the United States military-industrial complex. The meme is more real than ever. Bandai also hates gay people and doesn't want them piloting their giant robots. The Digimon trading card game has been struggling.
Alright, so for the whole Gundam thing, I think it's just Bandai Namco side where it comes to the game side. Like I said, the way they handle toys and the way they handle games are very different. Like I say, I've dealt with the companies in different and not just as a like content like this, yeah, as a consumer, but I've dealt with them in different aspects for my other jobs before, yeah. And I can really tell that they do work very differently, yeah, and it's not fair to take Bandai spirits and compare with Bandai regular release, yeah, and compare with Bandai Namco. They really found it all very differently, yeah. And what they're seeing here is more of like a Japan problem, yeah, versus not Japan problem, yeah. Like outside of Japan problem, if that makes sense, yeah.
In recent years because of massive competition from Bandai themselves. Currently, Bandai has 3 active card games, with a 4th coming at the end of this year. Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, One Piece, and soon Union Arena are all competing with each other. Bandai is so stupid that they're cannibalizing their own market by introducing more competition with themselves. This is on top of all the supply issues I talked about earlier, meaning that all of these games can be borderline impossible to get a hold of sometimes. This just makes folks move on to other, more available card games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and so on. Metroid Prime.
Alright, so hear me out. When he mentioned Union Arena or mentioned One Piece and all, to be honest, they are just producing card games because people get them to produce card games. Like it's like, hey, the One Piece licensees could be like, hey, could we have some One Piece card games here? I don't think Bandai is intentionally, like, cannibalizing their own target audience, because all these card games are very, very clearly cut out to fight different companies here. Right, like Union Arena is obviously cut out to fight, White Swatch here. Alright, and yeah, like, I personally feel that Digimon card game doesn't fight with Magic the Gathering, yeah. And Magic the Gathering doesn't fight with Pokemon because they're just completely different feels. So in this sense, where I see like 4 card lines, I don't think anything wrong is with it, yeah, because yeah, what's wrong? Like, even if we are looking at the US side, yeah, if I'm not wrong, Wizards of the Coast is the one who is selling Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Do they even fight? No, it's just 2 different audience, yeah. Alright, like the distribution is just 2 different audience. There is nothing wrong with it at all. Okay, yeah, like, it's just 2 separate audience. Like, people who play Magic will not play Pokemon 99% of the time, yeah. So I think this fact is a little wrong on that, yeah.
4 has been severely delayed because Nintendo decided to work with Bandai. 5 years ago in 2019, Nintendo released a very formal video where Shinya Takahashi, Nintendo's senior managing executive officer, released an official statement. Metroid Prime 4 was not meeting their standards of quality, and they had made the difficult decision to completely restart development with Retro Studios. Bandai was given an opportunity to make a mainline installment in one of Nintendo's flagship series. Yet they did such a terrible job that it forced Nintendo to scrap all of it and start over. Bandai is a terrible company that does not know how to sell things.
Selling things and game development, I think, is 2 very separate things, yeah. Just my personal take.
They are profitable in the short term, but they're burning all their bridges in the process. People can only take so much bullshit, and it's finally reaching its limit. The company is already losing money. Last quarter, Bandai Namco started canceling games in order to keep the illusion of profit up for its investors. This company is going to start reaping what they sow, and I hope that they finally start to change for the better. I want Digimon to do well. I want the creative people who are trapped in Bandai's management to be able to make the things that they want to make. But that positive change can't come unless the company gets a dose of reality. I want people to be more aware of how awful Bandai is, because I want them to fix their shit. I want them to do better, and I want to be able to enjoy the things they make without a million caveats. It's up to us to keep that pressure on them, to keep them accountable for their stupid actions. They won't change until their wallets are affected.
Hey, It's up to us to
complain about Bandai.
Alright, so you see where I'm coming from with this where he's just mixing the games, okay, yeah, versus like not mixing the games, yeah, okay. Yeah, so he's just mixing the games with the toys. I think it's just very, very, very different, yeah, okay. And it's just so different. It's like in the US, okay, sorry, in Japan, people complain they do not have enough access to things like Spider-Man, yeah, have enough access to things like, you know, the Avengers properly, yeah. And the reason for that is actually very simple. Alright, it's because the localizers in Japan are not handling the US market merchandise properly, yeah. I'm sorry, but I feel like this is just a localizer issue, yeah. I feel like, you know, I spoke to some Japanese friends before, yeah, they're like, you have all the you know, all the action figures for the Avengers and all, yeah. In Japan, they don't have that same range, yeah. They come in Singapore, they go, oh my, yeah, there's such a range of Avengers stuff, yeah. There's such a range of, like, you know, Superman, DC. They don't have that in Japan, yeah. Like, the availability is very different. You get what I mean, yeah? So, and one thing I didn't like is how, at least for this video itself, I didn't like how his mixing around the game portion with the merchandise portion, because I think these are like two very, 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 very separate entities, and the way they function, the way they sell things, the way they do things is just so different, yeah. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? So just reach us out the comments first, or the chat, what chat has to say before I end it here. Yeah. Yeah. Not waste my 4,000 attack. Okay. But I really didn't do anything wrong. They repurposing the device, which is better than just abandoning it. Yes, that's true. That's exactly what I feel, yeah. Just like Apple outphrasing their products and making them useless. That's the yeah, that's what I'm saying about, you know, planned obsolescence. Yeah, that's something that Japan or Japanese companies usually try not to do, yeah. I guess it's important that their market is in US and importing and all that can be hassle. Yeah, it's a localizer issue. It's nothing to do with that, yeah. Japan only loves Japan, yes. And hello over Tin Milk Tea, yeah. Sorry, I was reacting to the video, yeah. It doesn't make sense to make them rare because it'll make them more money if they sold them here, there, normally. Okay, here's the thing. The thing about Japanese is they're very close, okay, in terms of their mindset and all, yeah. So a lot of Japanese companies don't like to sell things overseas. This is not just for Bandai, yeah, but this is literally for everything Japanese, yeah. And it's like, Japanese companies struggle to want to expand overseas, yeah. Japanese companies just fear the overseas, like, I call it like, you know, xenophobia, yeah, or what. And they Japanese just are very bad at expanding overseas. And like I said, it's a Japanese company thing, yeah. I don't think it's just a Bandai thing, yeah. In fact, you should be looking this at a more, you know, wider picture and say, hey, Japanese companies need to expand their outreach more. In fact, things like Gundam, things like Ultraman are the outliers. Okay, these are the outliers. One reason why Power Rangers was so successful in the West, yeah, when it first launched is because Japan refused to move things out of Japan. Alright, so Power Rangers, when they just moved things out of Japan and rebranded, there was no conflict back then of like, oh, people took some footage from Japan and then we just reused it. Yeah, no, because most people couldn't even see the original Sentai footage. Yeah. And that's the truth. Most of them couldn't even see the original Sentai footage. Yeah. So seeing Power Rangers for the first time is like, oh, this is what it is. Yeah, this is the Power Rangers. Yeah. Okay, because Japan really sucks at expanding overseas. Yeah. And bro, this guy know what the issue is, and he's just salty that he's in the US. Honestly, I think, yeah, he's a bit salty that he's in US, but I think it should be taken from more of an angle of like, you know, hey, it's a US distributor, there's an issue. Why is there a problem distributing outside of Japan? Yeah. Okay. And yeah, local distributor is dumb and they market it badly. That's always the case. Okay. Magic Gathering, those TCGs. I mean, yeah. If you are really feeling that Japan products are no good, then just go with your Magic Gathering, yeah. I remember, but yes, the category is art because I'm actually doing art while reacting to this, just you don't see the scene, yeah. I just realized something, the game market in Asia are much more free spending than the US. So people spending engagement is more common when they put into the microtransaction field world like in Japan. Yeah, like Japan, they have a very different idea. Yeah, like I do not know how many of you have the same, mental concept as me. Yeah, I was like, I would want to buy original goods solely to support the, the creators. Yeah, alright. Whereas in US, you're like, okay, we want to support our local people. Yeah, we want to support the doujin artists. Yeah, but they don't see the corporates on such the same level. But Japan, they see things a bit differently. This guy needs to look at both sides before making a video about how bad they are, you think, yeah? I don't think this video is bad. I think this video does bring a lot of, valid points. Don't get me wrong. I think it brings a lot of valid points, But my counter argument is not that I'm defending Japan. I'm just explaining why Japan does things that way, yeah? Or why Bandai does things that way. Like, in fact, it's bad customer practice. I do not deny with him in any sense that it's bad customer practice, But my point of view is more of like, the reason why they do this is because of this, It's not just because of money. I think it's not just because of money, but doesn't mean because it's not because of money, it's a good practice. Yes, But yeah, so anyway, yeah, that should pretty much be it,